morning, everybody, and it is another beautiful day for some reading with some great new opportunities for the day. Yesterday, I made a really great video about gratitude, and if you are following my Instagram or Facebook, so if you're on Bigo, business_team_6 will get you to my Instagram, and I'm going to have a really great video about gratitude today. I'm grateful today to be able to do some reading for you because reading is so unbelievably beneficial. Yes, you learn more, but it also reduces stress. It helps us to sleep better. It does all these really amazing things. So I am really thankful that I'm here able to do the reading for you, even though I have quite a busy life and run around and do all sorts of different things. But here we go. Let's get into the reading then. Rich Dad, Poor Dad, I still only have the Chinese version. Lockdown is coming to an end in, what is that? 4 more days. But in the meantime, we still have another really great book, The Art of Thinking Clearly. So we're up to chapter 42. Talk about consistency. Except for weekends, we have been reading one chapter every single day. So what is it that you would be able to do consistency in your life? And I'm just going to say hello back to Zach, who is saying hello. And hopefully everybody who is not in the Australian time zone has realized that our daylight savings is kicked in. And so the time is, it's still 8 o'clock here, but it may not be the same time where you are. But I think most of Europe is going to start changing to daylight savings time soon as well. But let's not worry too much about that. Hopefully you're able to find us and you are here with us. And let's get into chapter 42. It's not what you say, but how you say it. And this one's called Framing. And here we go. Consider these two statements. Hey, the trash can is full. And the second one, it would be really great if you could empty the trash can, honey. And it's interesting because yesterday I finished off by saying c'est le ton qui fait la musique, which is a French expression for it's not what you say, but how you say it. It's the tone that makes the music. And Rolf actually starts with that. C'est le ton qui fait la musique. It's not what you say, but how you say it. If a message is communicated in different ways, it will also be received in different ways. In psychologist jargon, this technique is called framing. We react differently to identical situations, depending on how they are presented. Kahneman and Tversky conducted a survey in the 1980s in which they put forward two options for an epidemic control strategy. The lives of 600 people were at stake, they told participants. Option A saves 200 lives. Option B offers a 33% chance that all 600 people will survive, and a 66% chance that no one will survive. Although options A and B were comparable, with 200 survivors expected, the majority of respondents chose A. Remembering the adage, a bird in the hand is worth two in the bush, it became really interesting when the same options were reframed. Option A kills 400 people. Option B offers a 33% chance that no one will die, and a 60% chance that all 600 will die. This time, only a fraction of respondents chose A, and the majority picked B. Wow, the word death really has a really strong connotation for us, doesn't it? The researchers observed a complete U-turn from almost all involved, depending on the phrasing survive or die. The respondents made completely different decisions. How interesting and how fitting this is in our current scenario right now in life. Another example, researchers presented a group of people with two kinds of meat, 99% fat-free and 1% fat, and asked them to choose which was healthier. Can you guess which they picked? Bingo! Respondents ranked the first type of meat as healthier, even though both were identical. Next came the choice between 98% fat-free and 1% fat. Again, most respondents chose the first option, despite its higher fat content. So it is really important to be able to think critically and to see what is really in front of us and take the time to think about things. Because very often we just use these shortcuts and we follow what other people do, or we will evaluate it based on very simple strategies of coming up with a solution to a problem, rather than really having a look at it and actually taking a little bit of time. It doesn't have to be a lot of time, but taking a little bit of time to actually think about what the information is. Glossing is a popular type of framing. Under its rules, a tumbling share price becomes a correction. An overpaid acquisition price is branded goodwill. In every management course, a problem magically transforms into an opportunity or a challenge. A person who is fired is reassessing his career. A fallen soldier, regardless of how much bad luck or stupidity led to his death, turns into a war hero. Genocide translates to ethnic cleansing. A successful emergency landing, for example, on the Hudson River, is celebrated as a triumph of aviation. Shouldn't a textbook landing on a runway count as an even bigger triumph of aviation? Yes and no, because if you have no other alternatives. This part I find quite interesting because, yes, we are going to reframe certain things, but some of them are okay to be able to have that way. And the way we are perceived in life is really important. So if the person who has lost, or person who is fired, if they're not reassessing their career, if they say, I was fired, and walk around telling everybody that they were fired, then they're not going to get a job. So it's really important for them to be able to do that. When a soldier dies, people don't want to see that soldier as stupid or having bad luck. They want to be able to have somebody that has died for a cause. And so it becomes really important that we do create a cause for that. So I think that that's quite all right. And I'm just going to just see that Dvarwan has sent a message, but I'm not able to follow him back. So thank you for the message, but unfortunately I can't message you back. Have you ever looked more closely at the prospectus for financial products? For example, ETFs, exchange traded funds. Generally, the brochure illustrates the product's performance in recent years, going back as far enough for the nicest possible upward curve to emerge. This is also framing. Another example is a simple piece of bread. Now, this one you do need to pay attention to. So if you are the person who is unemployed because you lost your job, then of course you're going to say that you're reassessing your career. If you are the person looking to hire that person, then depending on what you're looking for and whether you trust that person or not, you would need to do some research and digging for yourself. When it comes to the graphs of prospectuses for different companies or different things, and if they are manipulating the statistics, and Bill Gates actually shared a book on how statistics can be manipulated, then it's important to know those strategies and tricks. So I would highly recommend you read that book as well, because it will show you where graphs and statistics can be manipulated so that it looks like there's one story coming out of it, whereas it is actually a completely different story of what is happening. So that is something that you really need to safeguard yourself. And this is what I mean by we take a lot of shortcuts. If we don't understand the statistics, if we don't understand the probability, if we haven't learned to really see deeper into that, then we're not going to be able to react in the right way, and we're not going to even be able to evaluate it. So we need to learn some of these strategies in order to be able to think for ourselves rather than let somebody else give us the statistics that they may have manipulated in the first place. Another example is a simple piece of bread. Depending on how it is framed, it's either symbolic or the true body of Christ. It can split a religion, as happened in the 16th century with the Reformation. Very true. So whether that piece of bread has actually turned into the living body of Christ, or whether that piece of bread is just a piece of bread, created a massive war among religions. Framing is used to good effect in commerce too. Consider used cars. You're led to focus on just a few factors, whereas the message is delivered through a salesman, a sign touting certain features, or even your own criteria. For example, if the car has low mileage and good tires, you home in on this and overlook the state of the engine, the brakes, or the interior. That's why it's good to have like a safety check that you can go through for cars. Thus, the mileage and tires become the main selling points and frame our decisions to buy, and that's what we need to be able to let go of. We need to be able to understand what is really important and have a whole list of criteria based on something that you might have come up with somebody else that adds your ideas and their ideas. They're an expert, and you are learning about these things so that you can add more in than you would if it was just you doing the research on your own. Such oversight is only natural, though, since it is difficult to take in all possible pros and cons. Interestingly, had other frames been used to tout the car, we might have decided very differently. Authors are conscious framers too. A crime novel would be rather dull if from page one the murderer were shown as it happened, stab by stab as it were, and if you were told who it was. Even though we actually discover the motives and murder weapons, the novelist's framing injects thrills and suspense into the story. Very, very true. That's why we love crime stories. In conclusion, realize that whatever you communicate contains some element of framing, and that every fact, even if you hear it from a trusted friend or read it in a reputable newspaper, is subject to this effect too, even this chapter. Okay, this is very, very true. So the more information we have, the more we learn about things, the more we understand statistics, probability, the more information we have that we can apply to every single decision we make, the better our outcome will be, and the better we're going to be able to choose, and the better we're going to be able to make decisions around things. We also need to be aware of when people are not necessarily saying that oh, and I'm just reading Mladen's message, something just popped up. So Mladen is asking, oh, is this the book you recommended yesterday, Thinking Fast and Slow by Daniel Kahneman? Yes, it is. Nobel Prize winner in economic science. 20 hours audiobook, not 10 hours. Mine was probably 10 hours because I listened at 2.5 speed, I think it was. So that's probably why it was a little bit faster for me. So yes, learn as much as you can about as much as you can. The more information you have, the more you learn about things, the more you're going to be able to make better financial, health, other kinds of decisions, because you have the knowledge to be able to see how people are framing things, what the actual, how it fits together, whether are people lying to you, whether the statistics have been changed, whether they've been made to look more beautiful. And I think that that is the whole idea of the book, The Art of Thinking Clearly. So that is another really good chapter and some great examples in there of how we can be manipulated through that. Tomorrow, chapter 43, and then we need to start heading off into our day. But I'm curious to hear if you're watching the replay on YouTube, or whether you're watching on Zoom or on Bigo. You can watch the replay on YouTube, which is the Passive Cashflow Club, which is the YouTube channel. I'm really looking forward to hearing your thoughts, and we can start a conversation around it. I really enjoy the discussion around ideas for what we can do and what you're doing to implement what we're learning in this book, and how your life is different now that you're learning the art of thinking clearly. And are you making changes, and are you doing things differently? But in the meantime, for not tomorrow, it is Friday already. On Monday, we're going to be reading chapter 43. Why watching and waiting is torture. This is called The Action Bias. So have a great weekend until then. I'm looking forward to another chapter with you on Monday. I really do hope, sincerely, that you are getting some really great results from listening to this book, and that you are implementing some changes, that you're a little bit more critical of the information that you're receiving, that you might be having a look at whether the statistics have been manipulated, whether the probabilities stack up, and just taking a little bit of time. So yes, we don't have a lot of time in life. We're very busy. We have things to do, but we can take a little bit of time to just have a look at things, not necessarily completely critically, but we can take a little bit of time to actually evaluate things a little bit before we make a decision, before we decide whether it's correct or not, and decide what we're going to do with it. So, have a wonderful weekend, and I will see you on Monday for another chapter, and have a great day till then.